Hello, dear viewers and students. How are you? Welcome back. This is Eteta Morogoro. I'm BASUKU NYABENDA. I'm going to share with you a Form 4 English topic that is reading literary work, and the subtopic I'm going to deal with today is the play Three Suitors, One Husband. Yes, Three Suitors, One Husband is a play written by Guram Oyono Mbia. A play written by Guram Oyono Mbia, and it is set in a traditional village of Umutesi in Cameroon. That was in the year 1960. Of course, this book was first published in French, and then it was translated in English. And so we are going to deal with this community or this society in Umutesi village. It's a typical African village, a typical African society. And of course, it represents other African societies as well. And I hope you're going to enjoy the story itself, because it touches the lives of many of us who were raised in village, though we are now living in town. Of course, I know that at least those who are living in town since their childhood, they will at least learn something as it happened in the villages, in the villages. And of course, it is still happening even today in some of the societies. Now, let's go to the general summary of this title, Three Suitors, One Husband. Remember, the main character in this story is Juliet. Juliet is a girl who is in secondary school at Ribamba Secondary School, and of course at school she meets this young boy by the name of Oko, and they fall in love. You see, what she didn't know is that as she was studying at Ribamba Secondary School, the parents back at home were preparing her for marriage. She's at school studying, still schooling, still in secondary school, but then the parents back at home are preparing her for marriage, or are preparing for a marriage for her. You see, and to make that happening, they have already taken a bride price from one suitor who is Ndi. They have already taken a bride price from Ndi. And Ndi is a certain peasant from the next village, and they have already received that is 100,000 francs as a bride price from Ndi. Yes, and while that is happening, on that same day, they are waiting for Juliet to come back from school. And while they wait for Juliet to come back from school, there is another suitor who comes in, and that is the civil servant Mbia, the civil servant from Sangimelima City. You see now, this is a person who is interested in proposing to marry Juliet. And to show that he is very serious, he pays 200,000 francs for the same person. Now, the parents, Juliet's parents, are having bride price from two people, from D, the peasant, and from Mbia, the civil servant. And now you see what is going to happen. Now, as they wait, as they wait for the coming back of Juliet, the villagers are in big support of Mr. Mbia, because he has paid a lot. He has paid more than the peasant D. You see, and of course, you should know why the villagers are supporting Mbia. You should know why the villagers are supporting Mbia. They are supporting Mbia because they have high expectations from this civil servant Mbia. For example, they expect that by giving Juliet to Mr. Mbia, who is a civil servant, first they will solve their financial problems. They will solve, especially the family itself. Mr. Tangana expects to solve his financial problems. That's not only the case, but also in that village, there is a certain illegal business that is going on. There are some villagers who are engaging in distilling illegal beer, that is aki. Aki in our own language, in our own society, you could say gongo. So they are distilling this illegal beer, and so they believe that by giving Juliet to the civil servant beer, they will manage to get permit to go on with that illegal beer, distilling that illegal beer without being disturbed by Medola, the police commissioner, who always catches them whenever he finds that they are distilling that beer. Otherwise, other people, other villagers like Ondua, for example, who is the uncle to Juliet, believes that by giving Juliet to Mr. Beer, they will manage to obtain a gun permit. They will manage to obtain the gun permit. That's what they believe. And so that's why they are very, very in big support to Beer. Now, what happens when Juliet arrives at home? See this. When Juliet arrives at home, first there is a very big shock. She's shocked when she saw that she's going to get married. You know why? The reason is simple. When she came back from school, before she came back from school, she did some examinations. And of course, she performed well. And so the expectations was to continue with the higher studies, was to continue with the Form 5 studies. But then she didn't go that further because according to the news she was given back at home, it means that there was no schooling. So she was in shock, in a very, very big shock. Now, you see this. First, she wants to go on with the studies. But the family says, no, there is no studies, especially Bella, the grandmother, says, no, there is no study. Because you are going to get married. And I don't know if your husband is going to allow you to go on with the studies. She's in shock. Not only that, but also, she has not been consulted of this arranged marriage in the village. Remember, at school, she met a boy. And they fell in love. So she is in love with another boy at school. She expects to get married to a man of her love. That is Oko. But then these people have not even consulted her. They are planning for a marriage. They are arranging for a marriage. So she is in shock. That's another thing. So all these things cause her to be in shock. Yes, but then there is a shock in the village then. Juliet is in confusion because of the information he's given. The village, the villagers, her society, her community, her family is also in confusion because she has come back from school with a strange tradition. You know what? In Mvutesi village, in typical African tradition, in a typical African village, there is no way a girl can protest against the family. But Juliet is protesting against the family. That's very strange. You see, in African society, in typical African societies, women are not supposed to make a decision. Juliet is making decision. That is very strange. You see, Mr. Mia has impressed the villagers, and they are in his support. How could a daughter, just a girl, deny 200,000 francs, which has impressed all the villagers? That is strange. Villagers are excited and ready to let Juliet go, but Juliet is not ready to go to join Mia's life. That is strange. You see, Juliet is a against the family and the village at large. The mission fails. To villagers, to Mvutesi villagers, that is a total strange experience they have never come across. You see, now, after these contradictions, after this conflict of ideas between Juliet and the family, Juliet and the village, Juliet finds a solution, and that solution is not okay. That solution is evil. It's an evil alternative, a route which was not supposed to be taken, but Juliet takes it altogether simply to solve the problem. You see that? Juliet decides to steal the money that was paid as a bride price. Juliet decided to steal the bride price and take it to her fiancé Oko, which to be returned or to be paid back as a bride price by Oko himself. Now, after the disappearance of the bride price in the house, there is a total panic to the whole village, a total panic to the family. No settle. The family is not settled. The village is not at peace. Everything now is falling apart because the money has disappeared. And you know why? It's simply because Ndi wants a refund. Mr. Tangana, Juliet's father, has no money. And so they go to Mr. Mbia and ask him to pay another 100,000 francs. And he says no. Instead, he says, I need my 200,000 francs. And there's no money in the house. They are afraid. They are in panic. While they are still in that confusion, Ndi and Mbia threatens to bring in the police so that they can punish the villagers for stealing their money. Now, it's a total trouble to the whole village, not only the family. It's a problem. It's a very big problem. Then panic, total confusion. How do they solve this puzzle? Now, they run into a very poor solution. A very, very poor solution. Try to check this solution which they decide now. So, Mr. Mbaga, the head of the village, decides to bring in the witch doctor. And they believe, just like any other African society, just like any other typical African society that believes in black magic, they believe that they can get that money by using the witch doctor. They believe that the witch doctor can reveal the one who stole the money and bring back the money. And so they bring in Sangatiti, the witch doctor. But then, as it is happening always, Sangatiti was not a solution to the problem. He was just a money maker. He was just a cheat. He was just a liar. He was just a cunning man who wanted to get the money from the village. Ignorant villagers wanted to rob their money and wealth. And of course, they brought in goats, many animals, goats, chickens, money, just giving them to Sangatiti, the witch doctor, believing that they could get their money back. But he was a liar. He couldn't get the money. And when they discovered that he was lying to them, he started threatening them with evil spirits, threatening them that he could bring death to the village. Total panic. There was a panic for the police, now there is a panic from the witch doctor. But, being led by Koma, a young man, who didn't believe in witchcraft, who didn't believe in superstitions, the villagers discovered that there was no witch doctor there. It was just a liar who was hiding all rubbishes to them, trying to fit them with the evils, and so they decided to chase him away from the village. Now, did they they solve the problem by chasing away the witch doctor now? The answer is no. The problem continues because Mr. Mbia is still there waiting for the money. Ndi is still there waiting for the money. Now, how do they solve the problem? In a very big surprise, Juliet brings in a solution. And how does she solve the problem? He goes to the father and says, okay, I'm ready to get married. But I will get married to the immediate man who will manage to pay 300,000 francs. And I hope you know why she said so. It's because he's having a hidden card. He stole the money. He gave the money to Oko. And so she's sure that Oko is having the money. That's the hidden card from Juliet. And he announces, the immediate man who managed to pay 300,000 francs, I'll get married to him. Now, in the middle of the talk, while she's still talking about that one, while she still announces that one, there come a trader again. And of course, the family is very impressed that this businessman, he might be having the 100,000 francs. And so he is going to pay. And they are going to get, Juliet is going to get married. They will get the money to refund in beer. They are happy at last. But Chegeni is not ready to pay that whole amount of money. He says it is too much for just a girl. And he discovered that Mr. Tangana is trying to steal or to rob from him, maybe. That's what he decides, he thinks. And so he says no to the marriage with Juliet. At least Juliet gets another, oh, thank you, a relief. Because Chegeni has failed to pay. And they are in the middle of discussion with Chegeni. There comes a band, a music band, singing, praising this young man, Oko, who comes in with 300,000 francs to pay the bride price. And of course, after that one, the marriage is set. The wedding is the wedding is celebrated in Atangana's ground. And now it is Juliet and Oko as husband and wife, and everything ends up there. That was the general summary of Three Suitors, One Husband. I hope you have enjoyed, but this is not all. You should go back and read that book, because I know by reading you get more stories. It is very, very interesting, very fascinating story I ever read in my school time. Now, I go to characterization, so that we finish this part, the first part of this lesson. That is characterization. We start with Abesoro. Abesoro is the first character we deal with. Abesoro is the grandfather to Juliet. Abesoro represents the oldest generation. He is the father of Watangana and Yandua. And of course, he believes that the school destroys young generation. That's what he believes. And because of that, he suggests that the girls should not be taken to school. Because he believes when they go to school, their mind is destroyed. And of course, Juliet is the one who gives him that picture. Because after coming back to school, she's not in support of the family ideas. She's against the tradition. She represents, according to Abesoro, she represents the protesters against the tradition. Yes, that's Abesoro. He is very, very conservative and traditionalist. This is Abesoro. Believes in everything as far as typical African traditions are concerned. According to him, women should remain should remain inferior race, inferior gender, according to Abesoro. You should know that one. And because Juliet has gone into school, Abesoro needs a high price to be paid because his granddaughter has gone to school. That is Abesoro. And the next character is Bella. Bella is the wife to Juliet. Is the wife to Abesoro. He's Juliet's grandmother. As well, she's a traditionalist. And accepts her inferior position as a woman in the society. That's what he believes. She believes that women should be inferior. And women, she complains that some women are breaking the traditions, taboos. And that's Bella. Bella is against the idea of Juliet speaking in front of the father, against him trying to argue with the father. She's very disappointed in Juliet because of that. She feels humiliated because of that. And of course, she thinks that that's a breaking the traditions and customs. How can a woman speak in front of men? That's wrong, according to Africa. That's not part of us. Women should keep silent when men speak because we are superior, they are inferior, according to Bella. You see? And according to Bella, a woman should just marry any man provided that it's good for the family. It doesn't matter. The age is not the case. Even if you are 18 years old and the man is 70 years old, that's not the case, provided that it's good for the family. According to Bella, you should know that one. According to Bella, Juliet should make the family rich by marrying Bea. That's according to Bella, our grandmother, Juliet's grandmother. Juliet should make the family rich. In other words, in any African society, a girl should be prepared to make the family rich by marrying a rich man, regardless of the age, of course. You have to remember that one. A girl is not permitted to love, to fall in love. You know, according to Bella, how can a girl fall in love? That's very strange. Because a girl should be permitted to love someone. You should not automatically fall in love with someone. According to Bella. You know, according to Bella, it is a very, very unbecoming and out of tradition by having a girl fall in love with a certain boy or a certain man. You should wait for a permission from your parents, from your family, to fall in love with someone. According to Bella, the grandmother. Yes. And so she is insisting that Juliet should follow the traditions. Should follow the traditions, according to Bella. Bella insists that Juliet should follow the traditions. And altogether, she thinks that because Juliet has gone into school, she believes that she's going to get married to a real white man. Here is to mean someone with big money. And so somehow contradicting. But never supporting freedom of expressions to women. Yeah. Now the next person we are going to check is Ondua. Ondua is the young brother to Atangana. In other words, he is Juliet's uncle. One of the main characteristics which identifies Ondua is being drunkard. All the time, drinking is the habit of Ondua. All the time, he likes drinking. And no more, no less. So you see, this person, this Ondua, who is the son to Abesoro and Bella, and the young brother to Atangana, he's always lazy. and much drunkard all the time. You know, when we say someone is drunkard, when we say someone is alcoholic, we have these people in our society. Even if they didn't take a drink, they look drunkard. Those are people we call alcoholic. And I don't think you are planning to be one of them. As a young man, as a young lady, we don't expect you to become like them one day. We don't expect you to be the Ondua of these days. Because it has nothing good. You see, this Ondua depends entirely on his wife. Because the wife is the one who works a lot while he remains at home drinking. And so the whole life of the family depends on the wife, Monica. And altogether, nevertheless, remember, he depends on the wife. He doesn't work, drunkard, and still despises women. I don't know how this becomes in. You know, it is senseless. Someone is a nonsense situation that you don't work, you are drunkard, you don't support the family, you are not responsible, you don't fulfill your duties, and still you despise a woman who keeps the family going. And that's Ondua. I hope you are not going to be one of those Onduas. And for those viewers who are grown-ups, I don't expect they are like Ondua. Because you don't deserve to live. You don't deserve to live. You founded the family. You are supposed to keep that family living happily, peacefully. If you are not fulfilling that one, you don't deserve to live. And this Ondua is proud of Matarina, his daughter. No, Matarina did not go to school like Juliet. And so she follows all the traditions. And that's why he is proud of her daughter, of his daughter Matarina. And of course, he also wants Matarina to get married to a rich man. That's what he believes, and that's what he's looking forward to. The next character we are going to check is Atangana. That's Juliet's father now. And that's the son of Twabesoro and Bella, the brother of Ondua. And he believes also men are superior to women. He's not of any difference to other men in Mvutesi village. And of course, in any other typical African society, they believe that men are superior to women. And so, he believes that women should be doing all the works in the farm while men relax. And that's why he remains at home with the other men, drinking, making stories, playing song and the like, while his wife Makrita is in a farm. And one thing which is very bad is that he is ignorant and oppressor. Ignorant and oppressor. How does this happen? Makrita is in a farm. He is at home. But when Makrita comes back late, he complains a lot because Makrita is ready to cook food for him. That's ignorance. Total ignorance. You are at home relaxing, doing nothing, and you want your wife to cook for you? That's ignorance. You know, I have witnessed such men, and men of this kind, and men of this category. I have witnessed these people. You know, sometimes when I was still very young, I could see a man with his wife go to farm. They spend a long time in the farm. Maybe at 4 p.m. they come back from farm. Now you know what happens? This wife is having a baby on her back, carrying a baby on her back. That's not the only case. A bundle of firewood. You see now? And in that bundle of firewood, she has stuck 2 hoes, one for her and the other one for her husband. They are stuck in that bundle of firewood. Do you see that one? And as if that is not enough, there is a banana. There's a banana on the band of that firewood. She is walking in front. And behind her, There is this husband who is just holding a spear and a panga, walking majestically behind her. And that's very bad, senseless, and inhuman. I hate that behavior. And I hope every sensible man will hate that behavior. Because you are turning your wife into a donkey, into an animal. And when you arrive at home, you know what happens? When they arrive at home, the man seems to be more tired than the wife, sits under the tree, stretching himself and waiting for the food. And so the wife will go to the kitchen to cook for him. And while cooking for him, prepares water for him to go and get bath. That's ridiculous, that's ignorance. And so the husband will go take bath. The wife has not taken a bath yet. Will go take bath, coming back to rest under the big tree, and then the wife will prepare some food, will give the food to him while she goes now to take a bath. Do you think that is fair? I think Africa needs to go back and look into these traditions and customs. They are so killing and inhuman. Now, this Atangana believes that her daughter will make him rich by marrying a rich man, by marrying Mbia. That's what he believes. And so he believes that by marrying a person with the low bride price like D, the family will continue to be poor. And that's very bad to him. And that's why when they arrange marriage with Mbia, they put a very long list of items which they believe they will support. That list in support of the bride price of 200,000 francs. At least if they get all these things, they will feel comfortable, peace, and at least countable people in the society as far as financial position is concerned. You can see that they need a radio set with gramophone, they need a bicycle, 4 suits, 5 blankets, a sewing machine, 10 loin clothes, kitchenware. Others are 10 sacks of rice, 4 oxen, 15 sheep, 10 goats, 20 pigs, and 30 cases of red wine. How do you see that list of items? Is it just a bride price, or you are selling a human being? I think you should think twice. And because you are still in school, you students here, I'm talking to you. Try to take these traditions and try to learn on how to avoid them. And because this pile of bride price is causing our society to have a countless senior bachelors. People are in 40s and they are not married yet because they are afraid of this list of items. Some people are living together as a husband and wife for more than 15 years. They are almost having grandchildren. And they have not paid this yet. And so it is not counted as a marriage. That's very bad. Very, very bad. And so Atangana says Juliet is an investment, and he is very angry when Juliet refuses to get married to Mbia. And he regrets having taken Juliet to school because now he's becoming a disgrace to the family. He wants to use the bride price to get his own son, Oyono, a wife. You know why? Oyono is not married yet. Oyono is the brother to Juliet. He is not yet married. You know why? Because there is no bride price. And so Atangana believes if they receive a bride price from Mbia, it will be easier for them to use the same money to pay bride price to Oyono's wife. Very poor. Very poor. To some point, at a certain point, Atangana was convinced to consult Juliet on her marriage. But then it was a very big blow from Abesoro. Because now he was despised by everyone. How can you consult a woman on marriage? Abesoro found him as stupid, and so he prohibited him. And he's one of those people who believes in superstitions, and so he brought his Sangatiti to find the solution of who stole the money and how to get the money back. Another is Makrita. Makrita is Atangana's wife. And of course, he believes that women are supposed or are designed to save and obey men. And that's why she goes to farm all alone, while her husband remains at home drinking. It's because she believes that women were designed to save and obey men. I don't know if you still believe in that. I'm not sure. I don't believe in that myself. And so she accepts the position of women as inferiors in the society. And she's somehow indecisive. She's in between. She doesn't know whether she should support Ndi, who supported her with the farming, or Mbia, who is having a lot of money. But all in all, what we know from her is that she's very hardworking, and that's why she spent a lot of time in the farm while the husband was at home drinking. And of course, as any other African mother, she's not happy with the way Juliet speaks or argues with her husband. That is, her husband, Mr. Atangana. She's not happy with the way Juliet, the daughter, argues with the father. Yes. And she takes the blames from Atangana, her husband. Because Atangana believes that Juliet is destroyed by her mother. You know, I don't understand this one here. When things go better, many people believe that the father is strong, and that's very good. And when things go wrong, they always believe that these daughters are destroyed by their mothers. Even sometimes, even when a daughter gets pregnant, they believe the mother knew of the whole incident and how it happened. You know, that is humiliation. How do you take this? That a daughter is pregnant, and then you believe that the mother was involved in the case. That's humiliation. That's undermining. That's oppression. That's suppression. You should stop that one. Stop that belief. I don't like that one as well. To Makrita, money proves love. It's not only Makrita. All women in Vutes believe that a man who pays a lot of money is the same man who loves a lot. So if you pay a lot, you pay a small amount, like Ndi, maybe you don't love that person, maybe you don't love that girl. That's what they believed. Do you believe in the same way? Do you have the same mentality? I don't believe. I don't think so. Yes. Right. Then the other person is Mbaga. Mbaga is the head man of the village. The head of the village. And he's proud and arrogant. Very proud and arrogant. And when he speaks, the atmosphere must accept his presence. That's Mbaga, the head man of the village, having 12 wives. And of course, he has proposed he wants to add the 13th wife. You can imagine. You can imagine. 12 wives. He's very old, but 12 wives. And he's going to add another one, so that he's having 13 wives. But he uses his position in a corrupt way. You can see that he misuses his power. He's one of those people who distill illegal beer, gongo, or ak. And because he's the leader, he used that position to hide all those bad deeds. And he is an opportunist. He is one of those people who believe that by giving Juliet to Mbia, he will benefit from that action, from that practice. Firstly, by getting gun permit, and secondly, he won't be disturbed as he distills the illegal beer. That is Mbaga, the head of the village. And so, he is very cunning in some ways, because when he finds that Mbia is furious, is very angry, he flatters him, and Mbia becomes cool once again. And of course, when the money disappears in the house, and the village is in total confusion, he's one of those people, and especially himself, who advises Atangana to take Juliet around the offices in Sangimelima City so that he can find a man who marries her, and so that the village can get that man and give back to Mbia and Ndi. And he is ignorant because he fails to recognize the lies from Sangatiti. He just accepts them, believes them as they are. Yes. And even when Oko comes as a young boy, and when they cheat, they lie about the CV of Oko, being the professor of mathematics, who can count even the leaves of the palm tree, he believes he is ignorant, illiterate. He's a traditionalist, very conservative, and he doesn't believe in women freedom of speech. Then we have this Sangatiti. Sangatiti is just a false witch doctor who pretends to know a lot, and who pretends to have the solution to the stolen money, but he fails. Very cunning and just stealing from the ignorant villagers. A corrupt man who uses villagers' ignorance to exploit them. That is Sangatiti. That is Sangatiti. Yeah. We have Mbia. Now, Mbia is a civil servant from a second Suitor, who is a great civil servant from Sangimelima City. And he's the same person who paid a bride price of 200,000 francs. And remember that Mr. Mbia was not having, it's not that he was a bachelor. He was married to 7 wives. And so, Juliet was supposed to be the 8th wife. Juliet, the 8th wife, was supposed to be. You see now? And so, he goes to Mvute's village, convinces the village, impresses the village with beer, money, pompous. He was very pompous, with pomposity. And so he could show the villager that he is the right person to get married to Juliet, and the village accepts. And then before he leaves, he says he was going to attend a very, very big, important meeting with the Secretary of State himself. But instead, he goes to Mr. Mbaga to drink Aki. So he's one of those people who misuse the power as well. He knows that Aki is the illegal beer, but still he goes to stay with Mbaga and drinking a lot of Aki. Mbia is very arrogant and is not respectful even to Atangana's family. when they go wrong, he uses a language that is not good. And he's one of those people who were rejected by Juliet. Juliet is a very strong woman. He rejects even the civil servant. I hope you young daughters of mine are not going to accept very old man like me here just because of money. That is wrong. That's very wrong. Be like Juliet. I come to you, you say no to the last drop and remain with your firm stand, your firm position of getting married to a right person for you. That's good. That's very good. Corrupt. This person is corrupt. Mbia is very corrupt. And he represents the ruling class. There are those people in the offices who are very corrupt. They misuse the power. Mbia is representing you, people. We have Oko. Oko is a schoolboy who fall in love with Juliet, a true love of Juliet. And of course, he is not accepted in Juliet's family simply because he is very poor, still a young boy, has no money, and still schoolboy, and they cannot be accept him, so he's not accepted. But all in all, he's against the traditions. He's modern and wants the changes in the society. In order to show that he is real, not supporting these African traditions, he accepts the money, the stolen money from Atangana's family, and to come back and pay them as a bride price. And of course, at the end, he comes in and pays the 300,000 francs as a bride price, and he gets married to the love of his life, Juliet. That's Oko. And the last character we see is Juliet herself. Juliet is the daughter to Atangana and Makrita, and the granddaughter of Abesoro. As I said, a student at Libamba Secondary School, whose dreams of schooling are cut short by the very, very lustful family who needs her to get married simply because of money. But she's very strong. She's against these traditional values to some extent. And because of that, because of the school she has got at Libamba Secondary School, and where she has passed, of course, she has passed and she is supposed to go to the next level in schooling, she says no. She rejects those traditional values. She has fallen in love with her fellow student, and that's Oko. Yes. Now Juliet chooses, the family chooses Suitor'S for her, but she says no. And to show that she is not, or she's against that practice, she steals the money, and she steals the money from her own father and takes the money to her suitor, Oko, to be paid back as a bride price. Of course, she fights for the freedom of speech. And that's what I like from Juliet. She fights for her rights. She fights for freedom of speech. That's very good from her. Very intelligent. She passed the exams at school. Not only that, but also she knows how to fight against oppression that men is doing against women. That's Juliet. That's very good. And while we finish with Juliet, we should know that Juliet is there to teach men that women are also important in the society, since they can make wise decisions which might lead to development. And I know, you know that we are having many ladies who are leaders in our society and who are doing good, who are doing even better compared to men. We are having our Samia Suluhu, who is doing good job. And that's an example of Juliet's of today, that we are having so many ministers who are women. We have our Umi Mwalimu, who is doing good job as well. That is our minister. you see, these women are doing very good job, and sometimes even better compared to men. You still remember Anna Makinda, who was our Speaker of the National Assembly. She was doing a very good job, a very wonderful job, and that's an example of Juliet's of the past. You see, I hope that you still have these people. We have Mama Mongera and the others who have represented us brilliantly, intelligently, even in the international atmosphere. And so, and I hope that you are going to take a good example of Juliet to treat your daughters in good way, so that they become the Mongera of today, they become the Anna Makinda of today, they become the good leaders of today. Juliet stands as an icon for necessary changes in the society, which is women emancipation. Women emancipation is very important. You have to put in every effort by hooks and crooks to emancipate the women, so that they stand in their position to make the nation go forward. Remember, they are 51% population. If we leave them behind, we are killing the nation. This marks the end of my lesson. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.